Welcome to the Robbie Roast Show. My name is Robbie Rowland. I am your host. You are listening to episode 79 with Rob Zastryzny. Let's hear a soundbite from Rob.
Be 100% convicted with every pitch you make. And I think that's one of the most important things for me this year is instead of, maybe I shouldn't throw a cutter here or just either shake it off or be 100% convicted in the pitch, even if you don't think it's the right pitch.
May I have your attention, please?
Give me a heater.
You're now listening to Clear the Mechanism.
The Robbie Roast Show.
The Robbie Roast Show.
All right, what's going on, guys? So I'm pretty sure that I butchered his name, but Rob Zastryzny, it's like I put so much pressure on myself to not butcher someone's name that I think I just end up butchering it regardless. Anyways, episode 79, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are new to the podcast, make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Spreaker, whatever it is. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to just make sure you don't miss any quality content or quality episodes that I'll be releasing in the near future. Anyways, like I said, today we got Rob Zastryzny on. Rob obviously is a baseball player, a pitcher, really interesting backstory. I think the first thing we talk about is, I guess it's not the first thing, but we talk about how he went from being born in Canada to being a Texan. So that's definitely the tone of the show, very loose, very relaxed. Obviously, when I talk to like fellow pitchers, man, it's just like a conversation. Like I told him before we hopped on the show, it's like I'm talking to you in the outfield while we're shagging BP. Like that's that good conversation when good things come out. So we talk about the change in the baseball this year and how, because I don't even think I felt a new ball this year. We talk about that. We talk. The next thing we talk about is a very popular topic for me is like pitching without your best stuff. I think all of us as pitchers, we know that eventually we're going to have to do it. Like we're not going to have our best stuff every single outing, but then he kind of breaks it down and takes us into the how and how he goes about it. Talk about his college days, talking about pitching in the SEC, talk about his draft process, his Major League debut, getting a World Series ring, dealing with Joe Madden, going from Chi-Town to LA, talking about spin efficiency. Obviously that kind of goes hand in hand with data analytics, and you guys know I'm a baseball nerd. So, no, really fun episode. Excited for you guys to dive into this one. On that note, if you guys are interested in any of my services, make sure to go check out the show notes, therobbieroastshow.com/Rob079, therobbieroastshow.com/Rob079. So what I will do in the show notes is I'll have all of Rob's links. I'll have all my links. I'll throw some links in there to get some discounted products if you are a fellow pitcher. Products ranging from, a pocket radar, a Velo Pro harness, bell clubs, connection balls. I've partnered with multiple companies that all can provide, for me personally, essential products when it comes to pitching development. And I know if you guys come from my Instagram page, you guys know that I'm passionate about a lot of those things that I talk about. So, like I said, therobbieroastshow.com/Rob079, which will be the show notes, which have all those links in it. So, all right. Well, I'm tired of talking on this introduction. I know you guys probably are too. So, without further ado, let's get to the episode 79 to be exact with Rob Zastryzny. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy. Thanks again for tuning in. Okay, dude, we are live, and so I literally sat in front of a mirror and I practiced the pronunciation of your last name, and I still do not feel comfortable with it. So, Rob, I'm gonna actually try it, and you can totally correct me if I'm wrong. So it's Rob Zastryzny.
Yeah, Zastryzny. It's perfect. I actually didn't know how to say it till like the 5th grade, so I don't expect you to get it.
I can't even imagine not being able to like pronounce your own name.
Yeah, no, it was tough. I've been going by Rob Z in professional ball, college ball, high school ball for my entire life. Just Rob Z, and just leave it at that.
Rob Z. You know, it's funny because I had to totally YouTube it and like listen to a broadcaster's way of, and you know, because they're usually always right. Like they actually like practice that stuff. So I was like, okay, I can do this, because that's like my worst fear. I say it almost every show, like butchering someone's name, like especially like with a guy like you. Like this is our first conversation together. I don't want you to think I'm like a loser, can't even pronounce your name.
No, I would never think that. I will give you a funny story though.
Love that.
In the minor leagues, like guys would just like announcers would be like, "Hey, like Rob Zastryzny is starting today," and I hope I'm saying that right or whatever. But as soon as I got to the big leagues in 16, every place that I went, an announcer or an assistant to the announcer or someone would come down as soon as we got there and have me pronounce it like on record, and they would practice it and stuff. Like it's a different level in the big leagues. Like they make sure they get it right. They would have somebody come down and ask. I remember, I think it was Vince Scully's assistant was the one who came down. It was actually a pretty good clip of him talking about it. He says, "I'm just going to call him my pal Rob, if that's all right with you guys."
Dude, what a name drop within the first 2 minutes of the show. I freaking love it. I love it. Yeah, because on what I forget, one of the websites, like maybe MLB or whatever, like has the actual like ZA apostrophe STRIZ, like the actual like pronunciation. And even with that, I was like, I couldn't freaking get it. But yeah, cool, man. Well, hey, dude, welcome to the show. Thank you again for taking some time out of your day and coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It was either that or go to the Cabela's across the street. So this is just as good.
Dude, you're in Omaha, right?
Yeah.
We could have met at Cabela's and done this in person.
How far away from La Vista area are you? You're downtown, so that's 20 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, you're. I know what hotel you're staying at too. I'm trying to. Is it the one by the Cracker Barrel over there?
Yeah, there's a Cracker Barrel over here. There's a big convention center next door. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're a good bit away. No, I like you a lot, man. But I'll be honest, I would not have driven that far for you.
Skype works just as well.
But that's the beauty of technology, right?
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, and it's a beautiful day today. So you started last night in Omaha. First of all, how do you like pitching in this league, man?
Well, the PCL was tough. I've played in pretty decent divisions. Like I was with Iowa for 3 years, and I mean we'd go to Colorado Springs, but if you survive that, you're fine.
Yeah.
But with these new big league, tightly wound baseballs, man, we got everyone in the lineup's got 5 homers, and it's like a guy last year had 2 the entire season, hit 2 in a game against us the other day, and it's just a little different now. So just kind of flipping that lineup over 3 times has gotten just a little bit harder. But I mean, it makes me a better pitcher having to, instead of just feed 2 seams at the bottom of the zone and hope for ground balls, you're really thinking through the scouting report, and I think it's going to help pitchers a lot, and I think it's definitely going to help catchers a lot.
Yeah, dude, let's dive into that, man, because that's interesting. Like that's pretty much a hot topic, I'd say, like in the baseball ranks. So that ball, according to you, makes a ton of difference.
Oh yeah.
So what is it?
I just think personally, I'm a pitcher, and so I'm a little biased here. So listeners know that me and Rob are pitchers here. So don't take everything we say as 100% fact, but they're a little they're a little tightly wound. They're a little harder to grip. So I mean, the higher seams that we used last year in AAA, you can pull down the ball a little better. I think my curveball is a little better last year. I had a little bit more spin on it, but the up and down movement is a little different, but the side to side is a little more significant. So my cutter has a couple inches more of movement than it did last year in the minor leagues, and my 2 seam has like an inch or 2 more. So the ball's diving left to right a little more. But as far as curveball and fastball, it's not running as much, and the curveball's not dropping as much. So I've been adjusting my grips and everything to add a little more spin or add a little more depth to it. So it's just adjustments you have to make. But as someone who went up and down last year between AAA and the big leagues, I think 8 times, I mean, using two different balls was not beneficial to anyone at all. Like, it was my first day at catch, I'd put balls in the bleachers behind me at Wrigley. Like, I literally could not get on top of the ball. It was like throwing a cue ball. So, so I would personally rather have the big league balls down in AAA. I think that's a great idea. But as far as difference in the balls, we had the wind was blowing out to left, but we had a guy a couple of weeks ago hit in, I think it was 85 mile an hour pop up. That was like a 99 catch percentage fly ball to left, go 10 rows deep in the left field bleachers. So it's a little bit different as far as travel goes.
I love this game. I love this game.
Exactly.
It's so, oh man. Yeah. Cause I remember my first big league camp. It was a totally like, it sucked too, because I didn't have any, I mean, you know how it is in the minor leagues, like you know, take a ball a day in the minor league, so you have balls in the off season. At least that's how it was for me, because I would like throw alone or throw with my pops, you know. And I got the invite in like November, you know, pretty early invite, and I was like looking around. I was like, I don't have any big league balls, so I made sure to get to camp like 10 days early. But I remember that first pen, dude. It was like, for me, it was like I had to adjust my sights too, because the ball was moving more. So
exactly.
It was like a whole different element, dude. So, no, I'm glad that you said you actually like that, though, because I think a lot of guys will be like, oh, it sucks, so I'm giving up this amount of runs and I'm doing this, but like you're seeing it big picture.
Yeah, and we're talking after an outing where I didn't give up a home run, but if you would have talked to me 6 days ago or whatever, I would have told you I hate him and get him out of AAA.
Oh, I hear it. So you said you had to grind it out last night. What do you got?
Yeah, I jumped into the first inning, and command-wise, I was a little bit off. I pride myself in getting a couple strikeouts, but mostly weak contact and not walking anybody, and I think I walked 4 last night.
I saw that, yeah. I was like, well, you're a command guy, too.
Yeah, and so I pitched 5 innings, and 4 of them I had at least 2 guys on as the inning finished, and I pitched out of bases loaded twice. It was a grind the whole way through. I had bases loaded no outs once and bases loaded 1 out once, and just situations that I don't want to put myself in, I was in the entire game.
So let's dive into that, dude, because like, you know, a lot of my listeners are, you know, youth pitchers, youth ball players, you know, and I get a lot of questions regarding, you know, hey, how do you know, we always talk about sometimes you got to grind it out. You got to pitch without your best stuff. So like, how do you go about that? Is there something that you tell yourself? Is it just like, you know, foot on the gas, competing mindset? You know, how do you kind of approach it when you identify, you know, maybe pre-start bullpen or even during the game that you're like, crap, dude, like I don't have near as close as the stuff that I want today.
Well, John Lester said it best to me. He said, actually said it to the media, but I read it. So I don't think he didn't say it to me. He said 4 starts a year, you have your best stuff. 4 starts, you have your worst stuff. And all the other starts you make, it's somewhere in between. And there's just going to be starts you go out there and you don't have it. And whether it's command or maybe you're going through some dead arm or whatever it is, and your velo's down and your ball's moving differently, you have to, like you said earlier, adjust your sights. Maybe your ball's not carrying as much, so you got to aim it to higher, or your curveball's not breaking, so you got to put it on the plate or whatever it is. Yeah. And for me last night, it was just early in the game, the ball wasn't carrying. Like the balls that were starting at the knees that usually ride and stay there were ending right above the dish, and change-ups, I wasn't getting through it, and I was throwing them all in the left-handed batter's box. So, I mean, that's half my pitches gone. So I had to learn – I had to get through the first 2 to 3 innings, you know, going fastball in and up, because, I mean, I couldn't throw it at the bottom of the plate, and I had to go cutters. And it's just what I had to do. But for me, to get through that, if you start thinking like, oh, I don't have this pitch or whatever, then later in the game, my catcher, Will Smith, incredible ball player, by the way, he called a 3-2 changeup to their leadoff guy, and I got him to roll over it. But if early in the game, I'm like, oh, the changeup's irrelevant, it's gone. Like, I don't have that pitch come the 5th inning or 4th inning, whenever it was. So it's never giving up on yourself and realizing that it will come. You just got to make that adjustment and be 100% convicted with every pitch you make. And I think that's one of the most important things for me this year is, instead of, oh, maybe I shouldn't throw a cutter here, or just either shake it off or be 100% convicted in the pitch, even if you don't think it's the right pitch. So that's kind of what it was for me last night.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I love that you threw some threw some good towards your catcher, man. That's big time. I hope he listens to this.
Yeah, I hope so too.
No, that's good stuff, dude. So I kind of want to take a step back because I love the getting to know the person like process because everyone, as you know, in this game has like a different path. Right, we all have like different journeys, and I think that's like the most fascinating thing. And I think my listeners will kind of agree with that. So I want to take it back, to your high school days, dude. So you went to high school in Corpus Christi, but you were born in Canada. I'm curious, what the heck happened?
So I asked my parents. I don't know if they're serious or not, but they just once I was born, I was the second child, and once they had two, it was just. They said it was too cold and too much snow, and they had to go somewhere else. So instead of going, maybe a couple hours south or maybe going to Ohio or anything, they wanted to go as close to the Mexican border as they could. And they went to Corpus Christi, Texas. So I grew up there. I mean, that's all I remember. I've been back to Canada a bunch, and I actually was homeschooled until 6th grade, and I took Canadian elementary school. So I learned Canadian history. I learned all that stuff, which set me back significantly because when I took 6th grade history, I was American history and I knew nothing. It was like, when was the Civil War? And I was like, what's this war that everyone's talking about? Like, I've never heard of this.
No, you and me both, man.
Yeah, so I was super far behind that way, but I learned Canadian history. I learned Canadian government, Canadian provinces. And my parents wanted me to have that background before I jumped into American school. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. But I grew up a Texan. Like, I tell my parents all the time, like, my brother classifies himself as Canadian. Like, I classify myself as like Texan, American, born and bred. And
that's interesting, man.
and I love Canada. Like, I wanted to play for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, and I got the invite, but the Cubs shut it down because that was the year, 2016, where I threw a ton of innings, and the season ended November 3rd, and there's just no way I could take time off and be ready to pitch. So it wasn't in the cards that year, but I love Canada. I have an open communication with the team and everything. But for me, it's just, I was raised Texan and I listen to Texas country music. I love everything about America, and that's kind of where I put myself.
You got boots and a cowboy hat over there, some Spurs.
I did in high school, and then I realized it wasn't my look. Yeah, it wasn't my look, and so I still wear my Vans, and my Lululemon now is kind of my style.
Gosh, you're a Lulu guy, man.
Yeah, my wife works there. Discount is
good for you. Jeez, OP. That's like a ball player's dream right there. Do you get the discount on two fronts? Do you get the baseball discount and her discount?
Yeah, so I have the baseball discount, which I think is $25, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then her discount, she has it's called an I Love You Man discount, and that thing is outrageous. It's 40% off everything, and it's 60% off the markdown rack. So you get a shirt that's already marked down $30, you get another 60% off that. That's incredible.
Dude, that's fantastic. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it definitely pays to have married her.
Sure. You're like, hon, that's the actual only reason I married you.
Exactly.
Hopefully she doesn't listen to this show.
Yeah, I'm hoping my catcher listens and my wife doesn't.
There you go. Yeah, so this show is brought to you by Lululemon. No, just kidding. That'd be dope.
That would be awesome.
Hey, guys. Robbie here. Sorry to interrupt the fantastic podcast you're listening to, but I got to take a brief moment and let the advertisement kind of do its thing. Sorry. So you go to the University of Mizzou, home of Max Scherzer. What was that process like? Was that a difficult one for you as far as like deciding what college you wanted to go to?
Not really. It was almost made for me. So I wanted to go into the Big 12. I wanted to play for Texas or Texas A&M, like every young Texan kid's dream. And they never called. So my junior year, it was TCU wanted me, Baylor wanted me, and Missouri wanted me. And so Tony Vitello, who's the head coach at Tennessee now, was the recruiting coordinator at Missouri. And I loved him. He's awesome guy, really well spoken, kind of told me the things I needed to hear to decide on Missouri. And so he left and went to TCU, funny enough, and then was like, hey, I'm not going to recruit you here because I already recruited you to Missouri. I'm not going to do that. And I respect that move. So TCU was out of the question. And then Baylor, it was between me and another kid, and they went with the other kid. So Missouri kind of fell into my lap, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. It was an awesome. I mean, it's a great university. The campus is gorgeous if you ever make it up that way. But the team we were okay. We had a lot of guys who worked really hard, and I kind of learned my work ethic there. My pitching coach was Matt Hobbs, who's now the pitching coach in Arkansas, and he's doing some really big things. He's very popular amongst the college baseball world, and he taught me a lot about my delivery, and he actually worked way harder than I did when I got there. So he also taught me about work ethic, and it was a great landing spot for me. I pitched on Friday night 3 years there, so I got a lot of experience there.
That's fantastic. I saw your junior year. It was just like one of the things that kind of got brought up on one of your pages, dude, and you got, I think it was, I mean, obviously going Friday night, you're going to go against the other guy's ace too. So I saw that you had a tough win-loss record with like a fantastic ERA with like a 2 run support, right?
Yeah, so I was 2-9, and
that's what it was. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't. I wanted to admit it personally to your viewers, man, that I had 9 losses my junior year, and I think I ended with like a high 2 or a low 3 or whatever it was.
That.
But
it's crazy.
But yeah, they played pretty good defense behind me. It's hard to put up runs against, you're facing Aaron Nola, you're facing guys like that, you're facing his name was Zomek from Vanderbilt, because they had Zomek, Beatty, and Walker Buehler in their weekend rotation. Like, I mean, they would shut us. Like me and the guy would go toe to toe, and I'd give up 2, he'd give up 1, and I'd end up with a loss. But the SEC was incredible. They some rotations were rolling out like 3 first-rounders and some the batting orders. I'd compare them to the Big 12, because I spent 2 years in the Big 12 and 1 year in the SEC, and the Big 12 and the SEC were similar batting wise. They were a little deeper in the SEC, but I mean the talent was there in both leagues.
Yeah.
But as far as pitching went, like, it was deep. And in the Big 12, you'd have a stud Friday night guy, stud Saturday guy, and then a stud closer. In the SEC, like, they're rolling out like 7th inning guys throwing 95.
Jeez, dude. And that's why I frickin' was the high school draft pick signee loser guy that said, nah, I don't want to deal with that. So you guys switch conferences? Did I get that right? Because you didn't transfer, right?
No, we switched conferences my junior year, which actually worked out for my benefit a lot. I was going into the draft that year, and I think I was projected like 10th round or 8th round or whatever, and I threw pretty well that year, and I got to throw, against Aaron Nola and guys going in the first round. And
never heard of them.
There's a lot of eyes on me, because they were there to watch, Aaron Nola throw, and so I got scouted a lot more that year than I would have if I was in the Big 12, I think, and it worked out to my advantage for sure.
That's fantastic, dude. Do you have like one particular Friday night game that is like a true? I love college stories, dude, because like I said, I didn't go, and I'm always kind of like, dang, that would have been dope. But do you have like one story of an outing that like sticks out from all your 3 years? Yeah,
it was the SEC tournament my junior year. We almost didn't make it, so we had to win 2 or 3, I think, against Tennessee or somebody like that, and we ended up doing it. We made the last spot in the SEC tournament. And so I was throwing against Mississippi State the year they had Hunter Renfroe and Adam Frazier.
Yeah, Adam Frazier's my guy, dude. We played together in Pittsburgh. Good dude.
Yeah, he's one of the best college hitters I've ever faced.
Yeah, it's because he went no undershirt and with like 4 buttons down.
4 buttons down, showing the chest hair. Yeah, the Evo Shield. I remember him like it was yesterday.
That's hilarious. I got to hit him up.
Yeah, he was actually the last out of my college career. In the 9th inning, he had a ground ball, and I caught it between my legs. But I think he went like 3 for 4 off me that day.
Oh, man. Yikes. Yeah, he could. And I mean, that's left on left, too. So, holy smokes.
Yeah, he had no problem with anything I was throwing him. So that whole game, I'm pitching, and I ended up going 9 innings, 1 run, and it was a little bit of a grind. I know I punched out Renfroe with the bases loaded, 3-2 count on a ball that, honestly, if he didn't move, might have hit him in the thigh. So I kind of got bailed out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went 9 innings, 1 run, and I remember Theo Epstein told me in 16, it was during the month, I got called up in August that year. It was at some point I was there. He told me that was the game they decided to draft me, was that game. So it was awesome, that we won that last series to get to the tournament. And it was awesome that Theo was there watching somebody and he ended up seeing me.
That's so sick. Gosh, I love stories like that, man. Oh, yeah. Man, this game. So that same year, 2013, what is your draft process like, man? Like, did you kind of have a good idea that you were going to forgo your senior season? Did you have an idea as far as like, you know, how everyone has like a specific number or a specific round that they want to go and they'll sign? What was your story like?
So our strategy was to be the most draftable person there.
Yeah.
Like there was no question on money or whatever. It was, our motto was fair price and we'll go.
Yeah, same here.
And yeah, that's it. Like I didn't want to be like, well, you know, if I go in this round, I want this number, anything like that. It was, for me, it was, you give me a fair price, you pay me what I'm worth, and I'm gone. And I remember after my junior year, you know how things go, like in high school, like you'll do things maybe you wouldn't have done, like throw in back-to-back games or whatever it is, because you like bleed your high school's colors. And same in college. Like I was Mizzou made and hashtag one Mizzou, you know what I mean? And so after my junior year, me and Matt Hobbs, I was telling you about, me and him have an awesome relationship. He was at my wedding this off season. I talked to him if I have any questions. He's an awesome guy. I consider him like a second father. And
that's fantastic.
He calls me into the office, and our head coach goes, "So Rob, you're thinking about the draft. I know that you have some prospects available and everything. And, you know, what would you consider about maybe coming back to college, or what would have to happen for you to come back to college?" And I kind of looked at him and I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I love it here. And Matt Hobbs goes, "He's not coming back. I'm not going to let you come back." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Your scholarship's gone. You're not coming back." Like telling me like, "Dude, go play pro ball." Like he completely took the pressure off of like coming back for my senior year or anything like that, which it wasn't in my plan, but I just love that he was so honest. He was like, "Dude, this is what's best for you. It doesn't matter what's best for us. Like, we want what's best for you." And so he told me, he was like, "Once you walk out this door, you're no longer a Mizzou Tiger. You are whatever team drafts you." And that's how it played out.
That's fantastic too, because like I've heard some horror stories in regards to like colleges and caring so much about just like the win-loss record and you know, all the politics that come about in college baseball, that they totally just disregard the player and, you know, the player's future and the player's big picture. And no, that's refreshing to hear, man. Matt Hobbs sounds like a good dude. I'll have to get him on the podcast. You might have to make that introduction. But are they going to Super Regional? What is Arkansas right now? Do you know?
So Arkansas is going to host. I think they're a national seed, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really good. He went from Mizzou, or I guess San Francisco to Mizzou to Wake Forest, and then Wake Forest to Arkansas. He's kind of at the forefront of the whole like sabermetrics, spin rate, and all that stuff.
Gosh, I love it.
He created a pitching lab at Wake Forest that is incredible, and I think they got it now at Arkansas. But he's kind of worked his way up the system to where he's at like an elite level SEC school. I'm super happy for him. Yeah,
so I think I know the name because of do you know what year? I know the name because of San Francisco. So I'm a NorCal kid.
Okay.
So do you remember what year that would have been when he was in San Fran?
Yeah, so he came over to Mizzou in 2011. So it was, I guess he was there for a couple of years. So maybe anywhere between 2007 and 2010.
Okay. Yeah, that's my high school years too. So that makes sense. All right, man. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. You get drafted. You go play ball. All is well in the minor league, grinding your face off. And then, dude, fast forward, you're 24 years old. August 2016, what's the call like for you, man? What's the story? Like, hey, dude, you're going to the show. What are the emotions like? Were you expecting it? Were you not? Let's hear it.
I wasn't expecting it at all. That whole year, I started that year in Double-A. I repeated. I got hit in the ankle the year before and broke it and put up pretty terrible numbers. But it was more of a go out there and get innings. We know you don't feel good thing. So the next year I started, I was like, I want to play a full healthy season. So I started in Double-A, got promoted to Triple-A because there was a couple injuries there, and kind of took off from there. I got to work with Taylor Davis, who you may know as the guy who stares at the camera.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him on the show.
Oh, dude, he would be an incredible person to have on. He's got one of the best personalities. I think he's going to be in baseball until he decides he's not anymore, whether it's as a player or a coach or whatever.
Absolutely.
He's one of those guys. So I got to work with him, a guy named Tim Fedorovich, and they kind of took my game to the next level. Like, kind of made me think of things I'd never thought of before. Like, a lefty changeup my first game in AAA. They called it and I shook it. I think it was Tim Fedorovich came out and he was like, "Hey, you're going to throw this pitch." And I was like, I don't have that. And he's like, "You have a changeup? Just throw it." So that was the first time I threw a lefty changeup, and it was work and counts, and they talked me through it all, and they helped me through everything. And I had Wilson Contreras that year for a little bit too, but he got called up, and it's just the Cubs did a great job of like putting you with really good veteran catchers, and I made a lot of jumps that year. So fast forward to August, we're in Sacramento, and I'm making a start against the River Cats, and they tell me I'm not starting, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they said, innings limit. We're gonna hold you back a little bit. So I show up to the field that day, fully expecting to like maybe play catch or whatever. And a lot of the front office are there. It's like Jaron, who's our player coordinator, and Randy Bush is there, and they call me into the office, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna tell me I'm shut down the rest of the year, which kind of stinks because I was throwing pretty well. And then they called me up. They actually called me and Felix Pena up on the same day, and he's with the Angels now, actually starting and throwing really, really well. But we got called up on the same day, so I called my parents. They freaked out. I called my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, and she freaked out. And they jumped on a red-eye flight to Denver the next day, and I got to throw in the 11th inning against the Rockies.
I love those stories, man. That's just And you got to make your debut in Colorado, huh?
Yeah, in Colorado, and it was like drizzling, and it was the 11th inning, and I had to face the top of the lineup, and it was the perfect debut. It was like my mind was so focused on pitching because it was cold, and it's like, hey, you got Charlie Blackmon, LeMahieu, Arenado. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm making a debut. It was just like, I got to get these three guys out. I got to figure out how to get these guys out right now.
So your first strikeout of your career came with for Charlie Blackmon, right? You struck him out first, or was that a different game?
No, that was the same game. Charlie Blackmon, first hitter I faced, and I'll tell you this story, but I don't tell many people. He was just coming off injury where he collided with the first baseman. It was his first at bat, so I think he was tracking the first two strikes, but hey, it counts.
Dude, I love how humble you are, man. Like you're awesome, dude. I would have been like, yeah, you know what? Like Blackmon, he was hitting 337, leading the league in OPS, and I went high chi. Got him with the K-Berg. Hey, man, that's awesome. I saw a stat, and I didn't know Baseball Reference did this, and maybe you knew, but it tells you what number of player that you were in regards to, like, how many have made their major league debut or put on a major league uniform, and you were 18,843rd.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
I had no idea.
That's amazing to me. Like, thinking about how like many people there are in the world, and thinking about like there's less than 20,000 people to put on a Major League Baseball uniform. Like you've done that.
That is crazy.
That's fantastic, man. Congratulations on that.
I appreciate you telling me that. I had no idea. I would have figured the number would be way higher than that.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, I mean, because I remember like I knew it was out there because like my dad still brags about him being like, he knows his number too. He's like 17,435 or something like sick pops. Hey guys, sorry I got to interrupt again. But I will say, whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, I think there's like a next 15, maybe 30 seconds. You can hit that right now. So, dude, I got to ask, do you have a World Series ring?
I do, yeah. I was there obviously in 16, and then I was on the NLCS roster against the Dodgers actually, and I got the ring, the parade. I was there for that. I was there for the World Series. It was incredible. Like that team, I'll always speak of very highly. Like they just from top to bottom, it was the perfect blend of young, exciting young guys. Chris Bryant won the MVP. Javi Baez was starting to come into his own. Addison Russell had like 30 homers or whatever it was, 20 homers, and then there was like Anthony Rizzo, who's still a young guy, but he was like a leader, John Lester, Lackey, and like obviously David Ross, and it was the perfect blend. Like it was the best clubhouse I'd ever been in.
Yeah, because I remember that next year we when I was with St. Louis in camp, we got Dexter Fowler, and like that was his big thing, was like he was talking about that team and just how loose and lax and just chilling they were, and like y'all just played the game and had fun, which I mean, as you know, like in professional ball, that tends to get overlooked, like having fun playing this game. So was that something that like Madden instilled in you guys from like an early start? Or I mean, I'm sure you've had multiple experience with him. It was like, what's he like?
He's pretty much what you see on TV. Like he's very genuine. He's gets his glass of red wine and he sits and talks to you. Like every time I've been sent down, he's sitting there at his desk and he's got his glass of wine and he's like, Rob, it's awesome having you here. We love having you up here. And when we need you again, we'll give you a call. And it's just very laid back and it's all positive. I could go out there and give up 7 runs and he'd be like, you know what? You went out there and you grinded. You gave us everything you had, and that's all we can ask for. Like, keep grinding, figure it out, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Like, it was always super positive, and you never left a meeting with him feeling down or feeling discouraged. And that's one thing I always appreciate with him. But he did a great job of keeping it relaxed. I mean, we had young Bear Cubs on the field once. Tim Butt, who's the most incredible strength coach in the world. As far as like keeping the team relaxed, he rented a Lamborghini or whatever. I think it was a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and he parked it on our agility field in spring training, and he wore everyone's gold chain. So he had like $400,000 worth of gold chains around his neck. And like, he would just do things like that every day. And,
did he at least take an Instagram picture with it?
Oh, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
He made the most of it for sure.
No, I like him already.
Yeah.
So I'm a couple more things, and I'll let you go, man. But what's it going? What's it like now? Like, I mean, obviously a new organization. You're with the Dodgers now, OKC. What's kind of the biggest things that are jumping out as far as the difference between the two organizations, or if there's anything like new that the Dodgers do, Cubs didn't, or what's that like? Just basically changing organizations.
It's been awesome for me. With the Cubs, they had all the information. They have the pitcher's lab. They have all the tools to make you a better player, but they very slowly incorporate it. Like they'll wait for failure and then like strategically come over and be like, hey, your direction's off. Let's work on this. Here's the details. When I went to the Dodgers, I threw a bullpen and they called me in 30 minutes after the bullpen and were like, here is a bunch of slow-mo video of you releasing the ball. You have not great true spin. This is what we're going to do. This is your new grip. Also, your changeup has great efficiency. So we're going to throw that more often. And it was like, hey, we're diving in with you. Spring training ends in a week because I got there like 3 days before camp broke. Mm-hmm. Like spring training ends in less than a week. Like these are the changes we want to make. Let's make them. And they trusted me as a player to not get overwhelmed by that and make these changes. And they've really helped. So whereas the Cubs eased you into it, they treated me more of a prospect. Like let him do his thing and let's slowly work with him. And the Dodgers were like, hey, here's 5 changes, make them today. And I love that because it's like, this is what you need to do to get to the big leagues. Why would we prolong that process, Yeah,
and especially like it's all about the individual too, like you've been through it, like you've been in the big leagues at that point, like you identify like, yourself, your strengths, and it's not like they're giving that information to like an 18-year-old kid, right? Where I can relate to kind of like a paralysis by analysis, information overload type. When I was 18, obviously, organizations want to help and they hand you or coach you through a bunch of different stuff. And, so at certain ages, through certain experiences, you can kind of, crumble through that. But at that age that you were at, I mean, you're 27, right? You're the same age as me, right?
Yeah, so, 27 years old.
So you were 26 when you went over there, or were you 27?
I was 26 when I went over to the Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you have a pretty good concept. Like, you have a pretty good idea of, like, what it takes at that point. I love, because I had a buddy that got released, and the Dodgers picked him up solely based on spin efficiency. And it's something that's, like, not as mainstream, I guess you would say, as far as, like, I feel like spin rate now is kind of like a mainstream thing, you know, like it's in articles and scouting reports and all that, but like the spin efficiency. Can you talk about that for a second as far as like why the Dodgers put so much emphasis in that and, you know, why it would obviously help a pitcher?
Yeah, there's guys I played with that, you know, spin a 2,700 fastball, but they don't backspin it or don't stay behind it for a long time. And that's essentially spin efficiency. For me and my understanding of it, they actually they got a baseball, they hollowed out a little hole through it, and they put like a pencil through. And then you go based off of your release point, and they perfectly spin it. It shows you how your ball should spin and at its 100% most efficient. So that was a good visualized method for me, was to look at that and be like, okay, so this is my release point. So they moved a little pencil to my release angle, like on a little protractor, and then spun it. And so like it was like, this is what it is. It wasn't like you need to spin it more efficiently, stay behind it longer. They actually showed me what it should look like. And I mean, there's guys who I've seen, it's the most incredible thing in the world, are throwing 90 miles an hour, which this day and age is now considered like the bottom end of throwing hard, you know, like 95 to 100 is now throwing hard. So like guys are throwing 90 miles an hour, but they're putting it at the top of the zone and just blowing doors off. And it's because, you know, their ball is not coming down with gravity. It's just staying up. And that's based off of spin efficiency. And same with, I mean, I watch all your videos, and I think you know a lot more than me. And I actually used your Instagram to learn about it initially.
Hey, you didn't have to. I mean, I'll Venmo you later for saying that on the podcast, but I appreciate it.
No, I studied Trevor Bauer this whole off season because I fell behind. Like I was a command guy who wasn't commanding the ball as much as I wanted, and I wasn't throwing a cutter as a true cutter. It was almost a slider, and I wanted to figure all this stuff out. So I started with Trevor Bauer and drive line, and I took from there what I thought was good information. And then I found you actually through my buddy Wyatt Matheson, who you played with.
Hey, that's my guy. I went to your Twitter. I saw you retweeted one of his bombs in like Reno. He just I didn't even realize he was with Arizona, but sorry.
Yeah. So he was actually the best man at my wedding. I grew up across the street from him.
No way.
Yeah, small world. But so he was talking about you. I found your Instagram through him, and I started looking at all your stuff, and it's like, here's a video of something that's happening. Here's a description on why it's happening, and here's an interview with the person on why he's doing it. And it's so easy for me to process information that way. It's almost like you put a pencil through a ball and are showing me spin efficiency on Instagram, and like that's why I love technology, and that's 90% of the reason I jump on Instagram is you know, see what my wife posted, double tap on her picture, and then go right to your Instagram and see what I can learn today, you know?
Oh, dude, that's fantastic, man. I really do appreciate it, man. Like I said, before we hopped on the call, it was like, it's about something that I'm very, very passionate about. And one can even argue that I'm just a total nerd and geek, and that's kind of what fuels my desire to do that stuff, you know. But I really appreciate that, man. But I'm going to be respectful of your time. I know we can sit here and chat for the whole day, but I know you got a lot going on today, post start. But again, dude, thank you for coming on the show. And real quick, tell my listeners where they can find you as far as like your social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you got.
So I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and Rob Zastryzny _8. You're going to have to Google how to spell the last name.
Yeah, I'll link it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, I'm more active on Instagram as far as posting, but I'm on Twitter every day looking at other people's posts. So
got it.
That's kind of how I use it.
Got it. All right, man. Well, I'll sign you off the air, but thank you again for coming on the show, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's another episode of The Robbie Rowe Show. Thank you again for tuning into this episode. I hope you got something from it. Like I said in the beginning, if you have yet to subscribe to this podcast, be sure to do so. And if you want to go the extra mile and you got some minutes to spare, go ahead and leave a review. Let me know how I'm doing. So like I said, the show notes can be found at therobbierowshow.com /Rob079. therobbierowshow.com /Rob079. I have all links to everything that I talked about in the episode, as well as the introduction. Cool, guys. Thanks so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I really do. God bless, guys. Love ya. Talk soon.
What you do?